Hello, everyone. Welcome to my talk. It is called Systems Thinking in IT and Aquaria, Resilience by Design. Resilience is the ability for an ecosystem to adapt to change. And what does that look like as success in aquariums? It's the fact that your fish, plants, snails, and bacteria stay alive despite changes to their ecosystem. Aquariums are living systems, and systems thinking is exactly what enterprise architects need to use when designing. Resilience in IT is the ability of systems to adapt and recover under stress. Usually measured in nines. You might have heard that. In fact, it was on earlier on today. And this would typically be a definition of uptime. But resilience is not just uptime. It's the ability of systems to adapt, recover, and thrive under stress. This means that your system must be understood and monitored well enough to be accurately measured. And throughout this talk, I will try to show you resilience through highlighting how to build an aquarium. Substrate, which is going in right now, is the heart of the tank and one of the most important elements. It provides the foundation upon which we can build the aquascape. It provides structure for the roots and nutrients, allowing the plants to grow, somewhere for the microfauna and flora to live, or a buffer for various things, pH, nitrifying bacteria, or even a source of food. So how does a glass box with soil link to IT or enterprise architecture? Now, in my head, obviously I've stretched it slightly, but the glass box is physical infrastructure such as data centers, fibers, or copper. Substrate would be shared services, DNS, DHCP, MFA, PKI, or a control plane. The common thread of these things is that whilst they can exist in isolation, they're meaningless without the rest of the system components. In order to allow it to become a system, it requires other things. In the case of a fish tank, it needs rocks, plants, water, and fish. In the case of OT, it needs applications, users, and of course, customers. Now we've got the substrate in and started the hardscape. If the substrate is the body, the rocks and the branches are the structure. Rocks and driftwood give the tank structure, stability, and identity. You will see here that the substrate sometimes takes a little while to get right. And there was a fair bit of fankling around here, and there's a little bit of hedge trimming going on shortly. But don't be afraid. So the strong foundations are key to getting it right, but don't be afraid to change things and experiment when the circumstances dictate, or just because you think it might be better. When things are right, life is smooth, and the plants and the fish are happy. And when they're not, it causes all sorts of problems, including dead fish or a leaking tank. We're about to start the planting. Resilience is not about a point in time, a person or a thing. Resilience is about the ability to keep going despite adverse conditions. It needs to be developed and tested because when it's needed and it isn't there, problems or incidents become much bigger and harder to solve. In IT, it's about diverse but complementary services working together. But systems can and will fail. In Aquaria, bad chemicals build up in the water, heaters will break, or filters become clogged, or of course, worst case scenario, the tank leaks or completely breaks. In IT, you monitor service health, things like auto-scaling events or error rates. Understanding which elements to monitor is the real secret sauce. If you get it right, all is well. Get it wrong, and it's chaos. Monitoring is the feedback loop. It also provides the success criteria. Adding the water. There are various problems that can occur when adding water, and I know Carl will be smiling very heartily to himself imminently. You can have cloudy water. You can have plants floating. You can have the aquascape moving around, or worst case scenario, a leaking tank. In IT, hopefully, if we're lucky or good, we have to simulate it. And the amount and efficacy of the resilience of the systems is only revealed under pressure. As the water fills, we will see what floats and what stays planted once it clears up. This is stress testing. In aquariums, unexpected behaviors emerge in that the plants will float, the water will be cloudy and stay cloudy, you'll have a bacteria bloom, all sorts of things. In IT, resilience testing, or chaos engineering, as it seems to be called these days, can reveal emergent behaviors. A microservice will fail, causing a cascade failure. Traffic will reroute, or you'll have latency spiking. Testing is the key to flushing out monitoring gaps. And since monitoring is what tells us the state of the system, in Aquaria, you would watch the pH, the nitrate level, the plants, the fish behavior. In IT, you monitor logs, traces, and of course, dashboards. A little bit of talk about maintenance now. So this tank is resilient because it's been designed as a system. It's intentionally designed as a system, and so it will be resilient, assuming everything is as planned. Sometimes, though, you have to make trade-offs in order to keep the system in check, such as poor tap water means you may have to pre-filter it. Some species of fish will jump out of the tank, so it must be covered. Some will only survive in certain temperatures or water parameters. Poor systems maintenance could mean that systems are vulnerable to attack or simply run out of disk space and crash. And each can have varying outcomes and impacts. Systems thinking reminds us that resilience comes from strong foundations, monitored systems, eco or otherwise, and feedback loops and causal effects. Monitoring ties it all together. In aquariums, monitoring keeps fish alive and prevents disease. In IT, monitoring keeps systems available and customers happy. So what sort of activities would I be talking about when I'm talking about maintenance? In fish keeping, changing water. In my head, changing water is equivalent to patching. And you don't just patch for security, you patch for features and you patch for bugs. You feed your tank, plants and fish. In IT, we talk about feeding and watering systems to ensure good health. There could also be external threats, such as a cat, or a child, or an angry ex. Links to cables, and that links in my head to cables being dug up, meteors, or of course, being hacked. As you will see, there's a cleanup crew, the little yellow shrimp. These guys test the quality and conditions of the system for the fish. Will these shrimp have an excellent adventure or a bogus journey? Going to add the fish shortly, and fish really bring the system to life. They rely on the ecosystem to survive. In IT, users and customers are the fish. They generate demand, they reveal weak points. Monitoring here is daily care. In Aquaria, you watch how the fish behave. Do they eat well? Can you see if they're stressed? Are they sick? Are they eating each other? In IT, you monitor user experience, transaction times and error rates by simulating user journeys to catch problems before real users do. Anomalous customer behavior could signal an attacker or a poorly thought through customer journey. A sick fish could signal disease. However, it's important. This is a symptom and not necessarily the cause. Solving problems is why it's important to understand your system. Now we wait and see, will the fish and shrimp be excellent to each other and party on, or will the fish eat the shrimp and fight each other? Architecting your IT like a thriving aquarium. Architect your IT like a thriving aquarium, adaptive, visible, usable, protected, and most important of all, understood. That's resilience by design. Thank you very much.
Fantastic. Thank you. Okay, let's open it to questions, folks. What questions do you have?
I could ask a question. Simon mentioned the a fish tank can actually leak, and I don't know. That just sounds like an absolute nightmare situation. Have you ever had to deal with that?
Yep, my wife's she has marine aquarium, and there's one currently sitting in our garage where the silicon failed, and I had actually pointed out that the level of the sand was going lower and lower and lower, and you could see that it was going through the silicon. And I was like, "You're really going to have to do something about that. You're really going to have to do something about that." And she didn't do anything about it, and it just started to leak slowly. Bit of marking tape, gaffer tape, still didn't fix it. The tank's still in the garage. She did say the other day she was going to sell it, but hey, who wants a leaking tank?
Oh, nightmare. Thank you.
Yeah, also, filling. There's many water on the floor through misfilling tank accidents. Yeah, Cheryl.
What type of fish was it that you added in?
Slightly controversial on this one, actually. There were two betters. One was a male and one was a female.
You planning to breed them or kill each other
Yes,
or?
they they have been very happy together. He's a lovely boy, actually, this one, and he has not been. The female still is fully finned. He's not been nipping her fins at all. They can be quite rambunctious betters. In fact, they're historically called Siamese fighting fish. And put two males together, and you will have a fight. And don't do that. But a male and a female, you have to monitor them quite closely to make sure they don't beat each other up too badly. All's well at the moment, by the way.
Good. Is it one of the tanks that's around you?
No, it's not. It's in there, and I was going to think about bringing it through. I might bring it later if anyone's interested. But yeah, no, it's through in the bedroom.
Oh.
Daniel,
I wondered how your production monitoring was, how many crit one instance you had of fish dying then and things.
my favorite ever fish. Now, I don't tend to have favorite fish, but my favorite ever fish that was in this tank here, I gave him a name, and I don't name fish. He was called Freddie, and he's a puffer fish. He was a Fahaka puffer. You've got to be careful how you say that. Um, I came in one morning and he was on the floor. I thought, how did a frog get in here? Because they're quite chunky fish. He was only a little one. He was only about that big, and they get to kind of that big. So that tank will not last him forever. But um, yeah, he jumped out, killed himself. What a douche. Any more questions?
Yeah.
Just out of interest, how many fish tanks you have, Simon, at home?
There's 7 in here. There's the one I did through the video, which is in there. And I've got another one in the house, and my wife keeps changing the number of fish tanks she has. She doesn't have quite as many as me, but she's got 1, 2, 3 marine tank. And then I think another 2 or 3, something like that. You know, it's bad when you can't actually tell you how many fish tanks you've got. Tim.
Oh yeah. I was just wondering. I can see in the background there's a bottle of Sarson's vinegar. Which fish survive in that? Or it's some
Nobody
kind of
survives in that.
extraterrestrial.
That's a lovely observation, and it's lovely because it links back to the talk. So that bottle of Sarson's vinegar, you have to be quite careful when using fish tanks because Windex is almost certainly poisonous to fish. So when I was cleaning that tank prior to filming it, I used a bottle of malt vinegar.
Thank you.
And
I was just curious. Thank you.
No, it's all good.
Any other questions at all, folks?
I've got a little back. I mean, that was 10.5 hours worth of video, by the way, down to just under 10 minutes.
I wonder if you win the prize for how much time it's taking you to prepare your talk.
Right. Okay. So let's pause that there. There we go. That's good. And we'll go to a bit of feedback. Mark, can I start with you for a bit of feedback? Is that okay?
Yeah, absolutely, Carl. So once again, Simon, thanks very much for that presentation. I don't know if you noticed, but I was smiling myself all the way through. I think it was great. I really enjoyed it. My feedback: how refreshing it is to actually see a presentation without slides. From my point of view, I like it. I much prefer hearing people's voices. A video, fantastic, but we don't need these things called slides. So I thought the presentation was really well thought through and well executed in terms of the structure. So when you were changing different topics, you would see the break in the video as well. So loads and loads and loads of delivery flair. So I really enjoyed that. So thank you very much for sharing. I've learned a bit about fish actually today again. I must admit, I think I once upon a time I had one of those fighting fish. It didn't last very long. It didn't last very long. I think if you put a mirror up against the glass, they go crazy as well, from what I remember.
Yeah.
But that's it in terms of feedback from me. I don't think there's no even better ifs. I just thoroughly enjoyed it. I thought it was great.
Thanks, Mark.
Welcome.
Excellent. Yeah. So I love the analogy. Clearly it's going to appeal to me. But yeah, I love the analogy, and I love how you linked it so closely to all the different elements of engineering and architecture. That I thought was very, very clever. I hadn't thought of that myself, of course, but I have linked it before to systems thinking. So I think it worked really, really well. I like the fact that within the logical structure, you sort of introduced what you were going to say, then you actually went in and did the whole piece, and then there was that nice landing as well. There was that summary of what we had heard. So I think that was a very clever logical structure. I think the personal presence, clearly it works having all of the fish tanks around you as well as you're talking about doing a fish video. So that kind of worked well. High amounts of delivery flair, and I think I'll remember it. So I think that in terms of lasting impression, you probably tick that box as well. So I don't really have any other even better ifs, but I do appreciate I might be somewhat biased. But yeah, I thought it was really, really interesting and cleverly put together in terms of the topic you were actually talking about.
Thank you.
So a really good link between those two things.
And thank you for when we had a chat with Kevin as well. Thank you for the feedback for that, because that made all the difference
Yeah, no
from where
worries
it
at
was.
all.